One cold, rainy evening, I was returning home from work. The streets were wet and empty. Dark clouds covered the sky. Cold wind touched my face as I walked slowly toward my apartment. It had been a long and tiring day. All I wanted was a hot cup of coffee and some rest. When I finally reached my building, I noticed something strange near my door. A small white envelope. At first, I thought it was just another bill or advertisement. But then I noticed something unusual. My name was written on it. Not printed. Written by hand. Slowly. Carefully. Beautiful handwriting. For Emma. I stopped moving. For a few seconds, I simply stared at the envelope. I looked around the hallway. Nobody was there. The building was completely silent. I picked up the envelope slowly. It felt old, almost like it had been waiting for me. I unlocked my apartment door and stepped inside. The warm light from my room felt comforting after the cold rain outside. I placed my bag near the sofa, but my eyes stayed on the envelope. Something about it felt strange, mysterious, almost personal. I made myself a cup of coffee. That night, I could not sleep. The rain continued outside my window. The mysterious letter stayed on my table beside me. I kept reading the same lines again and again. What is hidden inside your old house? The words refused to leave my mind. Around midnight, I finally stood up and walked toward my bookshelf. Inside an old box, I found a faded photograph. Me, my mother, and our old house. A strange sadness filled my chest. I remembered my childhood there. Most memories were beautiful, but some memories felt strange, especially the attic upstairs. My mother never allowed me to enter that room. Whenever I asked questions, she changed the subject immediately. At the time, I thought nothing about it. But now, everything felt different. The next morning, I made a decision. I was going back to the old house. Even if the letter was some kind of joke, I needed answers. The drive took almost 3 hours. The farther I traveled from the city, the darker the sky became. By evening, I finally arrived. The house looked exactly the same. Old, silent, lonely. Tall trees surrounded the property. The front garden was dead and covered with leaves. The windows looked dark, like empty eyes watching me. For a moment, I almost turned back. But then I remembered the letter. I walked slowly toward the front door. The old wooden floor creaked beneath my feet. Dust covered everything. The air smelled old and cold. Every corner of the house felt frozen in time. I walked through the living room slowly. Family photographs still stood on the shelves. My chest felt heavy. Then suddenly, I heard a sound upstairs. A soft noise, like footsteps. I froze immediately. The house was supposed to be empty. Slowly, very slowly, I looked toward the staircase. Silence. Complete silence. Maybe it was just the wind. That is what I told myself. But deep inside, I knew something felt wrong. I slowly walked upstairs. Each step made a soft creaking sound beneath my feet. My heart was beating faster now. At the end of the hallway stood the attic door. The same door my mother always kept locked. But this time, the door was slightly open. Cold air came from inside. I stopped in front of it. My hands were shaking. For a moment, I thought about leaving, but curiosity pulled me forward. Slowly, I pushed the door open. The attic was dark. Dust floated through the cold air. Old furniture covered with white sheets filled the room. And in the center stood a small wooden box. My eyes immediately locked onto it. The same symbol from the letter was carved into the top of the box. A key. I walked toward it carefully. Beside the box was another envelope. This time, my name was written again. For Emma. My breathing became heavier. I opened the envelope slowly. Inside was another letter. If you found this, then you finally know the truth was hidden here. I continued reading. Your mother protected the secret for many years, but now it belongs to you. Suddenly, I heard another sound behind me. A floorboard creaked loudly. I turned around quickly. Nobody. But the attic door was moving slowly by itself. The wind outside had become stronger. Rain crashed loudly against the roof now. I tried calming myself. Then I looked back at the wooden box. It was locked, but hanging beside it was a small silver key. The same symbol. My hands trembled as I picked it up. I inserted the key slowly into the lock. Click. The box opened. Inside was an old diary, several photographs, and one final letter. I opened the diary carefully. Most pages were old and damaged, but one photograph immediately caught my attention. It showed my mother standing beside another woman. Both were smiling. And beside them stood a little girl. A little girl who looked exactly like me. But I had never seen this photograph before. I turned the photo over slowly. Written on the back were 4 shocking words. Emma and her sister. Sister. My body went cold. I never had a sister. At least, that is what I believed my entire life. My hands shook as I opened the final letter. The handwriting looked different this time. Older. More emotional. Emma, if you are reading this, then I am gone. Tears slowly filled my eyes. The letter was from my mother. There are truths I could never tell you. Not because I wanted to lie, but because I wanted to protect you. The rain outside became louder. I continued reading slowly. Years ago, your sister disappeared from this house. The police never found her. But strange things started happening after that night. My breathing became shallow. Sometimes I heard footsteps upstairs. Sometimes doors opened by themselves. And sometimes I heard a little girl crying in the attic. I stopped reading. Fear slowly crawled through my body. Suddenly, I heard it. Very softly. A sound behind me. Like someone whispering. I turned around immediately. Nothing. Only darkness. Then, another sound. A child laughing quietly somewhere downstairs. My heart almost stopped. The old house no longer felt empty. It felt alive. Fear filled every part of my body. I slowly backed away from the attic door. The house had become completely silent again. Too silent. Then, suddenly, the lights downstairs turned on by themselves. Warm yellow light filled the hallway below. I stared in shock. The electricity in the house had been dead for years. Slowly,
I walked downstairs. Every step felt heavier than before. My hands trembled. My breathing became uneven. When I finally reached the living room, I froze. Someone was sitting near the window. A woman, quietly holding an old photograph. For one terrifying second, I thought I was seeing a ghost. But then, the woman slowly turned toward me. Tears filled her eyes, and mine too, because I recognized her face. She looked exactly like the little girl in the photograph, exactly like me. My sister, alive,